Hello and welcome back to the Chromecast at the Rising Moon. Hey, today guys, I have a pick a card for you about angel messages. What do your guardian angels want you to know at this particular time? I have 3 piles and a pick a card, piles 1 through 3. Take a moment, concentrate, see which one calls out to you. That's the message you're most meant to receive. This is one of those readings where more than one pile may be appropriate to listen to. So if literally all of them call out to you, it means that you're meant to watch literally all of them. I will see you at the time of your reading. Take a moment, concentrate, see which one calls out to you first, and if there are more, watch them in the order that they call out to you. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 1, then this is your reading. Guys, I'm aware that this might be a little bit darker than usual. I don't have any power today, but I was very much told to do this reading. In fact, as usual, I tried to film one. It had no sound for no reason. If I push and try to film things just to get content out, I'm getting cut off from it. And I'm not sure why, but they always know what they're doing. So pile number 1, your tarot spread, the infinity spread, I always use an infinity spread in these readings, is coming to you from the tarot at the end of the rainbow. It's one of my favorite ones. We're going to put the number 1 over there so people can easily fast forward to it. Before I get started, please don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button if you like the reading, and if you want to book me for a private reading, there's a link to my website in the description box down below. All of the piles are going to get energy cards, and then also the spirit and energy deck as well. And then depending on what these messages are about is whether it will depend on what other oracle cards I end up involving. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how these flames react to. I haven't done a candle magic reading in a long time. And oddly enough, it's not simply because there wasn't any power today. We had a scheduled outage for tomorrow, but then it suddenly went out, and I was like, okay, well. Part of the reason I'm doing this is we're heading into All Hallows Eve, Samhain, Dia de los Muertos, the time of the year when we are letting go of the previous season's energy to prepare for a time of rest, contemplation, and restoration. Doesn't mean nothing will manifest, it just means it's a really good time to let go. So let's get going here. What is the angel message for pile number 1? What's the angel message for pile number 1 here? 1 and 2 and 3. All right, let's see what we got. All right, first card is the 5 of Pentacles in the upright. Can be a feeling of isolation, being left out in the cold, quite frankly, feeling the financial pinch. There's a bit of an economic downturn in the entire world, so if you feel like it's like, where is everything? Everything feels pretty sparse right now. Know that pretty much everybody is in that same condition. That is coming out with the Queen of Pentacles in the upright. These are very earthly energies. With the 5 of Wands in the upright, which is a card for clearing and for change. Remember, if you do any form of reading, you're going to develop a personal relationship to your cards. The 5 of Wands can be about difficulty and conflict and bickering and bantering and competition and challenge and all of that. For me, it is the card that indicates that movement is needed. So energetic clearing is one of the things that's being recommended, particularly to get your finances moving. Yep, with the Wheel of Fortune in the upright. That is a karmic card as well. You're kind of wondering what the heck happened because like this is absolutely not what you were told was likely to happen. You're clearing ancestral. You're clearing ancestral ties, ancestral attachments. Remember, this is the time of the year where we kind of celebrate our ancestors, and it can be difficult when you come from like people with conflicted energy, energies that are difficult and they carry forward generational trauma. It can leave you with a lot of burdens to unpack. It can also leave you with attachments that are passed down generation after generation, usually related to generational curses, which is almost the exact same thing as generational trauma. But everything you like about yourself is also related to the people who came before you. And this is both energetically and then also in the 3D. And can you have ancestors that like they don't show up in your genetic family tree 100%? There's a reason I can do magic from any realm and I don't get blocked on it. It's because every lifetime that I've had has involved some form of magic or some form of faith. So I've always been connected to something. This is coming out with the Queen of Cups in reverse. I love this Queen of Cups, by the way. I love this whole deck. But this particular Queen of Cups, that's intuition. You also had to learn how to deal with anxiety, because the Five of Pentacles is one of the cards of anxiety. If you're doing things, particularly in a healing profession, and money is a great big focus, it starts to corrupt the energy that you're putting forward. And corrupt is like this very loaded term. It just means it degrades it. It means it's not as potent as it could be. And you're never being shamed for, like, hey, I'm an earth sign, so like I like my stuff too. You're not being shamed for liking things or comfort or luxury, but you're being reminded that money is a tool, not an end goal. Meaning that in the work that you do, you're doing this work to try and help alleviate the burdens of others, to try and heal them, to try and connect them, to try and make the world a better place. And if you begin to let the focus be, but how do I make more money? It brings in a form of attachment that is to a lesser aspect that we all contain. It genuinely isn't just about you. It is about those with purer intent will get better results because you have access to more power. Every power is most potent in its purest form. Yeah, with the Eight of Wands in reverse, which is kind of that blocked or delayed journey. And then I've got it with the Knight of Pentacles in the upright, which is kind of a slow and steady routine. You're just a wash in Pentacles over here. Most of them in the upright, which is where we want to see them, and that comes out with the Two of Wands in reverse, which is making plans and decisions, but also a grounding energy. And we're going to take your two clarifiers, we're going to put them over here. Let's talk about these cards for a few moments before we get on to the rest of the message. So you're coming out of this period into this stable, very well balanced energy. The Queen of Pentacles, and remember, whenever I use gender in a tarot reading, gender is literally meaningless in tarot. Even the kings and the queens, they're not representing men and women unless it's a love reading or it's representing a figure. It is representing the connection to the divine masculine or the divine feminine. And in both the divine masculine and the divine feminine, there is a dark aspect. So there is the light aspect and there is the dark aspect. You've got your Queen of Pentacles in the upright. Now, the Queen of Pentacles can be warm and loving and nurturing, but she gets stuff done and she meets all of her responsibilities. She is your crisis manager. She is one of the best queens to get. The queens are gestating something so that the kings can fully manifest them. And again, this is not gender specific. The Five of Wands in the upright is that need to clear. And then the Wheel of Fortune in the upright is one of the karmic cards. You have been clearing ancestral karma. Your angels want you to know that, like, man, they know when you're frustrated and miserable and sad. It's just that they understand a process from a greater perspective, and that the battle in life, because this is one of the cards of battling, is actually to find a way to be happy even when we don't have exactly what we want. To find the worth in this existence, this ability to connect, this gift that, like, if you're drawn to me as a reader, you're likely psychic as well. You may very well be in one of the healing and supportive professions as well, because my collective has a tendency to be healers. Let's get your clarifying cards here. They're just saying that what has been happening is clearing a karmic cycle for you, and please don't feel personally judged. It wasn't personal. But that everything is changing, things are going in your direction. You have to remember to clear frequently. You have to remember it blocks your intuition. This is an intuition card. For me, the Queen of Cups in reverse almost exclusively means intuition. And it's a trust your gut, tap in, tune in, find your process. That is the Knight of Pentacles, because it will aid the clearing. You need a clearing process. Even, I know it feels like drudgery, but most things in life that are about maintenance are a little bit, trudge, do. It's just, it makes such a big difference. I'm speaking to you from a space that I have just so thoroughly cleared, because I did a wicked demonic entity removal that was just really quite dangerous. And so afterwards, I literally moved all the furniture around downstairs. I cleaned in a way I haven't in, like, I want to say a year. And it was to make sure I got any of that residual energy out. And it wasn't just a clearing with clearing spray or with Palo Santo or with incense, and I've stopped using sage or Palo Santo. They're both endangered. I really urge other people to look into alternative means as well. You get the best results when you walk forward with integrity. And so it's very good to respect that, hey, that's part of somebody else's religious process. And if I can use an alternative method, I will. But this is the slow and steady progress towards change. Grounding is going to be a very important part of your life. The Two of Wands in the upright is of making plans and committing it and like choosing from options, and the world is your oyster. In reverse like this, it is committing to plans, making plans to move forward, things coming into the 3D. I have that with the this is a Gemini card. This is the Lovers in the upright. This is not often a soulmate card for me. It is usually about being integrated within, balancing out your masculine and feminine energies so that you can have full control of your power, but full access to your compassion as well. And that is coming out with the Temperance card in the upright, which has the hidden Two of Cups. So interesting. In terms of personal relationships, here's what happens when you've cleared all energy from generational trauma that has likely led to things like codependence and toxic relationship dynamics that are carried forward across generations. You likely are not very focused on the idea that like, I'm gonna find a person, then we're gonna build a life together. Instead you're like, I'm building my life, and if I find a person, isn't that swell? But it usually isn't the focus of a journey at a particular point in the spiritual evolution. And it looks like you're kind of beyond that. Please be aware that before the end of the year, everything's kind of clearing up for you, because this is a Sagittarius season energy as well. But it looks like it's been, I like the word that just came into my head is ghastly. It looks like it's been a ghastly year for trying to like, I'm doing this, I feel like I'm alone in it, echo, 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 is anything there? You were never disconnected. You were a little blocked by your fear. And you have to choose courage. And when you're afraid of something, really talk to yourself about whether or not it's a proportionate fear. And I'll use an example in my own life because it just helps people understand. I needed to close out a Spectrum account, and it's been very difficult. I had to call in twice already. I mean, it's really to the point that I'm like, is this some kind of scam? Because it's that challenging. And it started to really worry me. And I kind of had to like talk myself down off a ledge. It's like, well, the very worst that happens is that like you have to go, you know, full metal, screaming, former like warrior on them, basically. Is that like the part of myself that like I try not to bring forward, the intimidating part, is like something that's the worst that would happen, that my life is not going to be ruined by like trying to close out a Spectrum account that I'm having difficulty with. And that's, using that as an example, is please remind yourself of the actual stakes of something when you're afraid. Because usually fear is based in what we think might happen and the worst case scenario of it. Like, you know, ending up on the street if you've got like a downturn in business. And by the way, if you've had a downturn in business and you're a sole proprietor, know that almost everybody has. It really was not a personal judgment of you. One of the things that helps me where I live is seeing how many people are unhoused and knowing just how incredibly fortunate I am in comparison. And that's a way to gain your perspective as well. Perspective is the thing that always brings us back down to earth like this. You have a beautiful energy going forward that I really appreciate. This is Archangel Haniel, Joy, Blessings, Intuition. I do not read oracle cards in reverse. I do not find them to work in reverse. Now, I clearly read tarot in reverse. I just have a different relationship to them. So Joy, Blessings, Intuition, and then we've got Power, Truth, Connection, Angels of the Seven Chakras. Hey guys, I'll try and remember to link to the 7 Energies podcast that I did to tell you what energy to heal in all of your chakra points to achieve this true alignment, this integration of self. I like where you're going, but if this is mostly about, you've got a lot of questions about where you've been, because it has not been easy. It has not been easy. It looks like this 5 of Pentacles is that feeling of abandonment. Now, one of the things that you need to examine that your angels are drawing your attention to is the relationships you've chosen, both in romantic and friendship capacities, and also the relationships that you keep at bay, because you're at that point, according to this reading, is that you kind of block out all forms of connection. You're like, I'm an island, I will do it all by myself. May have been related to abandonment issues. Potentially ones that involve your mother, and it doesn't have to be physical abandonment. It can be a feeling of rejection of your true self. If you had a hypercritical parent, which I did, a lot of people did, like nothing you ever did was right, it makes you fear making mistakes and can cause you to move forward in a fearful energy. This particular candle is one for courage. This one has been anointed with fast cash, crown of success, a couple of other things. And over here, the one you can't see, is actually an angel's influence card. candles. So all the candles I have lit aren't just here to try and provide a little bit of light. It's actually a dark day, so should be a slightly dark reading. You cast a spell with your existence. This is an excellent energy from the Soul Helper. I want more of this. Lost in the ruins of the past. Find the way to the present moment and live. In order to move forward, we all have to learn how to release the past. Now, part of the reason I was doing this is because it is we're heading into the time of year where it is ideal to release the work that you have done in the previous year. In a lot of magical belief systems, All Hallows Eve is when we have the greatest access to our ancestors. And what we're always trying to do, and what they're always trying to guide us to do, is to release the energetic burden of the karma carrying forward. And we can't get like really resentful of the, man, y'all just knew how to screw up, didn't you? And please remember that everything that stood in their way was trying to thwart the actual powers that they had. So usually, like again, it's easiest if I use myself as an example because I'm not betraying anybody's confidences. But my alcoholic grandmother, who I refer to a great deal, was actually incredibly bright. She was college educated at a time that women were not typically. She had a professional career at a time that women were not typically. She was incredibly well organized. She took better care of me than anybody ever did in my life. She just had like no affection to give anybody. And when I do my ancestor work, I try to remember that it is because she had her own emotional wounds. She chose a partner who, the more that I have understood about toxic relationships, the more I have been able to understand, oh, the fact that she practically crawled into the grave the day my grandfather died was not a mark of great love, because she was an addict. She had alcoholism and other addiction issues with smoking, and they did actually kill her. That it was a toxic and codependent relationship, that she simply did not know how to function without this person, and that it doesn't define her entirely. Please remember there is more to a person than the worst things that they ever did. That we all exist in a state of balance, and that if you're going to judge somebody, look for the positive as well. And the things that I got from my grandmother endure. She was a strong person, even though she was pretty much crippled by her addictions. And a tendency to seek love from people who are unlikely to give it. Kundalini rising, I like that. Apparently the chaos and storms will lead you to happiness untold. I'm using Empress Lang's Apparently So deck. I actually really recommend this if you do any form of magic. And then I have self-respect and end of a harsh karmic cycle. You've been putting the cart before the horse in this matter. So here's the thing. If you have felt isolated, if you have felt like, I just don't even feel like I get guidance any longer, it is because part of self-love, part of self-respect, which allows us to choose good friendships, good relationships, to protect ourselves in professional success, which that is part of this energy. If you have felt like just nothing will work out, it is not that you are unloved. It is that you were not able to protect yourself adequately from people who would seek to take advantage of you, because a part of you craves approval from others, and that is not an insult. It is genuinely not an insult. It is an observation of the damage that was done to you during a formative stage. It does not mean that you're needy. It means that somebody tried to convince you, probably from a place of their own pain, that you are not inherently lovable, that you were somebody who was always putting a foot wrong, that if you opened your mouth, you said the wrong thing. And when you have that in the back of your mind as a formation of self, other people, when they seek to take advantage of you, they can prey upon it. They can tweak it out. They can make you feel like maybe you're not being grateful enough, and so you give too much, and in the end you end up depleting yourself. So this period of time where everything was so very, very difficult was really about teaching you how to move forward in self-protective energy that is not excluding connection. You can still give generously, it's just you can't give to the depletion of self at the level that people who are codependent have a tendency to. Because people who are in the empath narcissist paradigm of a codependent and toxic relationship, they try to win the approval and the validation and the please, I'll be so good, love me. If I take really amazing care of you, you will return all that love to me. And during a period of healing, what you have to learn is stop trying to give all that to somebody else, turn around, give it to yourself for a good long while until you really understand, oh, I deserve to be loved, and I should not have to work my butt off to be loved. That I can still give and love and be affectionate and be caring, but that it could never be in an unbalanced state again. So that if you're giving to somebody and they are not reciprocating, you're more likely to be like, well, I'm more invested than they are and I deserve better than that. And you turn around and you walk away. I have broken heart. That's one of the curse cards. With yin yang, which is a balance card that is balancing your male and female, divine masculine and divine feminine energies. Healer of the ages, ooh, envy, where we're resolving this particular attachment, anxiety, and hostility. So that's what you've been trying to resolve. Envy, by the way, is not a jealousy card exactly. It is a consciousness of lack. It is looking at other people and thinking, they have more than I do. Why do they have more and I have less? It is not a judgment. It is that this world contains harsh circumstances. And that's one of the things in a spiritual journey in the ego death is learning not to take the things that happen to you so very, very personally. As I've said, one of the benefits of living in a place where there's great disparity in the distribution of resources is that whenever I'm feeling ever so slightly afflicted by, basically having lost everything in a divorce and having a completely different life, I remember I have a beautiful life. There are people who dream of my life, and they're very, very close by. And that even if it's different than it used to be, it's still a great life. And that I had to gain that perspective on it. Understand that you're not being punished when things go wrong. In the exterior world, when there's like an economic downturn in the world, you're as protected as they can make you. And they try very, very hard. And the more you reach for purity of intent, the greater peace your soul will know. But we've made so many things in manifesting about financial gain. And that is part of what's wrong with this world. That is what creates that envy attachment, that jealousy attachment, that fear that goes into, will I survive this? The need to constantly gain. Oh my God, it's the same one. Jealousy leads to a downfall. Attachment removals, get on them, do them constantly. Altona, Altona 777 has the best ones. They're only 10 minutes long each. They all sound awful, but that's by design. When you're trying to remove a spirit attachment that is trying to influence the way that you think, something that jars your, like what you're hearing, and it actually disrupts your thought pattern, works to get rid of things. And then you do a cord cutting or a clearing and a balancing. With the moon, you'll be guided through darkness. The night, triumph over adversity. I want one more. And then the key, locked doors can now be open. You may have resolved your attachments already, but remember, you've been told that your generational curse has to do with a consciousness of lack, being grasping, sometimes being a miser. The demon that I had to remove the other day that I knew was going to give me a big problem because it came from the same area of the world that the ones that were on my family came from, which was Scotland. That was very much a greed and envy. And it induces fear and a feeling of scarcity and a feeling of needing to, basically pile up a hoard of money in order to sit on it in order to be, feel like you're safe. And that is never where safety will come from. And again, please hear me. It is nothing to do with you won't get what you want, you won't have a nice life, you won't have a comfortable bed, but rather to examine, do you really think that this world that has told us that money, 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 money is the answer has gotten it right? Because I'm here to tell you it has not. And it's part of why everyone's in desperate straits and so frightened and trying to accumulate more and more as a way of trying to make themselves courageous when courage was within. Knowing that it's like, you know what, even if I had a downturn in circumstances, I'd be okay because I have me and I would still figure it out. And you would. Just keep going forward. And this is what I tell myself whenever I become afraid. All I have to be is endlessly brave. Just be endlessly brave. And that is literally what I will talk to myself about. It's like, you just need to be brave. Just be endlessly brave. And for all that I have an anxiety disorder, courage is not something I lack. And so I just kind of dig in and I find that same ancestral energy of these people who overcame harsh circumstances. And that grandmother I was referring to before, she was influenced by the Great Depression. My father was a much older father for the time, and so his mother was a young woman. My father was born 2 weeks before the Black Friday in the stock market crash. And so money was always an issue. And then on the other side, there's a Scottish family where financial deprivation and people literally starving was part of the ancestral curse that was upon that land. And the attachment I was removing was very much from there. And I always have to do clearing work around that. And in fact, before I go on to the next pile, I will do a clearing within this room to make sure the attachment that's trying to come through is cleared out. If you get a warning about that, you're not afflicted, you're being told, work on this, work on this, work on your root chakra, work on your root chakra. That is the Archangel Michael. For those of you who like to invoke archangels, which I do, invoke the Archangel Michael and the element of earth in order to clear that energy. But it is being cleared and you are healing. It's just keep doing the work, keep doing the work. It can get tedious. It can be like, is there never going to be any fun? Is it just going to be like energetic chores for the rest of time? There may be some maintenance involved. Just like we have to work out to stay healthy, we have to eat healthy in order to have a good system. You're going to have to do clearings on a regular basis, particularly if you work in this realm. You will pick them up for your clients as well. Be of service. We want one more on this. Accept struggles as a lesson. That is, you are never alone. This is true. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes you can be like, does school ever let out? Can I quit being taught? I would really like to enjoy some life now. The sooner you lean in on what is this trying to teach me, and you are clearing this karma, by the way. If you're not there yet, you're very, it's before the end of the year. It's before the end of the year. But lean in on examining your relationship, particularly to money, and how you view it, and whether or not you're trying to accumulate for a feeling of safety, because it will never truly make you safe. And then you will wonder, why am I still afraid? You could have everything in the world, and you would still be afraid about the future. And it is an element of our troubled world that we try to convince people that monetary gain will somehow provide them with personal happiness and a feeling of security and safety as the world crumbles around them, and as people have less and less, the world is less and less secure. And there is not enough money in the world to hold together a crumbling infrastructure in the way that we have around us on so many levels, including in our environment. So what you need to work on is finding your way to be courageous, to overcome circumstances, and to know that everything that is brought to you is trying to show you a way to heal so that you can live a more joyful experience. And then there's a hint of love over here, but for anybody who's recovered from codependency, I genuinely do not urge people to get love readings, because it sets off an OCD response that is frequently related to trauma, and it sets them back. So I will do love readings for people, but it's better to be cursory when you've been recovering from codependency and toxic relationships, and you will know. You will know if you've had that relationship where you gave and somebody took and then made you feel worse and worse. And then you don't ever want to go back to that place. And the easiest way to not be there is to concentrate on your spiritual journey and on your life's purpose to go forward. And then love will find you when it is meant to find you. And you can get one reading to figure out, hey, is this person trustworthy? But don't live your relationships through cards. It's the easiest way to get attachments. Okay, pile number one, that was your reading. Hey, if you want to book me for a private reading, there's a link to my website in the description box down below at therisingmoon.com. It's the only way to book me. Please don't forget to look for my podcast, Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica, and I'm very likely going to include the link to the 7 Energies podcast. You got that card. Please listen to that podcast. Take care. Be well. Okay, guys, this might be good because I already had to stop and restart this pile because I got an attachment warning and I had to bless and clear. Pile number 2, let's get started. We're putting the number 2 over there so people can easily fast forward to their readings. There is a link to my website in the description box down below if you want to book me for a private reading. It's the only way to book me. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. We are dealing with angel messages about what you need to know right now to continue on your path. Ancestor messages may come in here as well. I'm filming this in part because Samhain, Halloween, All Hallows, Dia de los Muertos is coming up at the end of the month. But this is a timeless reading and it applies at any time. We're doing an infinity spread. That's 8 cards with 2 clarifiers. We're going to get cards from the energy deck and the energy and spirit deck because they're both archangel decks, but other oracle cards will come into play as the reading reveals the need for it. And literally when I started this, I got an attachment energy and I had stop and clear. So remember, if you're being told that you have an attachment, there are protocols that you can go through to get rid of them. In my triggers episode, there's a good protocol around that, but Altona 777, ALTONA 777 is my favorite channel for spirit attachment removal videos. Please always remember to hit the thumbs up button or subscribe or watch an ad because in order to receive energy, you have to give some. So that's the reason and they all sound awful, but there's a reason for that. It disrupts a thought pattern. We have the Six of Pentacles in reverse, which is an unbalanced state. Giving more than you're receiving. This is a past energy. That's good. With the Empress in reverse, which is innovative solutions. I have the Four Cups in the upright, which is things happening behind the scenes. And then I have the Chariot in the upright, which is the card of the astrological sign Cancer. It's also the card of business success. It's a card of progress and moving forward. Man, if you're asking what has the holdup been, this has been a much longer journey than I ever thought it would be. They often are. It is because you have a tendency to allow yourself to slip into an unbalanced state. You really have a hard time with the concept of I am living in order to have a joyful experience. And like the only thing that makes you truly joyful is feeling secure. And that's okay, but you need to remember that this world has a lot going on in it. And security is a mindset as much as it is anything. And if you have enough for the next few years, boy, have you got like 95% of the population beat. And please understand that part. Just keep doing your stuff and working on your stuff and balance more frequently than you do. Like you might have been very good about doing attachment removals and cord cutters and everything, but you might have fallen out of practice of balancing, and you need to balance frequently as well. I energetically clean a lot, but I will admit that like they might be talking to me right now because I have been neglecting doing full balancing. With the Magician in the upright, ooh, okay. All right. I'm going to read this one in a way that I don't normally. Power, action, skill, power, and action. You have to let your energy replenish. Okay, I need to talk to you about boredom because this is one of the cards of if you feel like not a lot has been happening and you're like, but is this what my life is going to be like? It's so dull. It is because you have to essentially be forced into an energy of like, okay, well, everything is going to slow down. Nothing is going to happen until you do the work and you sit with yourself and you understand your feelings. Because it's going to give you more access to your personal power. The Hanged Man in reverse is things happening, being removed from a period of stasis. This is the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, okay. And then I have the Ace of Wands in the upright. We're taking our two clarifiers over here. These are very good energies. As I said, I had to stop this pile and start all over again and say a blessing and all kinds of stuff, because this is one of the cards that suggests an attachment to your personal power. Mostly, I think you're just, at this point, you're like, is this really all there is to life? No, there's a lot more. There's a lot more. Please stop thinking that everything stops being worthwhile once you reach a certain age. It doesn't. You don't feel any different on the inside. And if the rest of the world judges you for aging or being like past the age of 30 or past the age of 40 or whatever it might be, don't invest in that. They don't know what they're talking about. Live your joyful experience. There's a lot of freedom that comes with being in an age where you're not seeking the validation of people around you, particularly as someone who identifies as a woman. That becomes particularly true, is that it frees you from a lot of societal burdens when you're no longer just about, when attracting validation for your exterior is not as big a part of your walk through life. It doesn't mean it won't be a part at all, because like, you know, I am older and I still get flirted with on a very, very regular basis, partially just because of my personality. It does not end. Please stop thinking that there is a number in life at which life stops being enjoyable. Take a new perspective on your existence. Really take stock of how you feel in your mental and your emotional world. Stop measuring things by a chronological number that has really been imposed upon you by a society that like they want, because with age comes confidence, with age comes wisdom, with age comes greater understanding of self. And so there is a reason that people are told they're less powerful, because they wouldn't step into their individual power, which breaks down a machine about conformity. This is a non-conforming energy. And what does that mean? Does it mean like renouncing all physical goods and like going and living in a camper van? If you want it to. It just means maybe don't invest in the structures you were told would yield everything you ever wanted at the same level any longer. Things slow down because you don't like to live your life in balance, and you do need to balance more than you do. I have the Two Swords in the upright with the Page of Wands in reverse. Okay. You don't understand this part, but it helps you with triggers. The Two Swords is having denial about something, and okay. All right, so this is going to be a slightly difficult energy to convey to people, and I'm sorry, because I have a feeling it's a PTSD or a CPTSD pile. Is complex post-traumatic stress disorder curable, and is post-traumatic stress disorder curable? To an extent, but it does require maintenance and awareness of your triggers. You might be in a little bit of denial about what overwork does to you. That if you're living your life in service of a job and not finding personal joy, that it actually is a problem with causing triggers. And that's the key to healing PTSD and CPTSD, is awareness and understanding of self. And that's literally the only difficult energy I have here. There's a lot more happening towards the end of this year. If you feel like you, okay, there's one more thing you need to know. If you have found that your readings have not been giving you a direction as much, it's because you may have fallen into the trap that so many people do on a healing journey. At first on a healing journey, when we're a little bit like, I'm confused and lost, they will tell you absolutely everything that you need to do. As you heal, you are asked to make your own decisions and embrace your power of choice, to have full access to your power. So we've got an Ace in reverse and Ace of Wands in the upright, and that's one of the things that indicates a download or an expansion code. And that's about an area of your life that is beginning to expand. The energy around this actually is successful for business and more creativity and more happening. If you have been trying to make something happen and trying to make something happen, this denial around what triggers you is like trying to do too much sometimes. You push yourself too hard and you try to repress your emotional response system when it's inconvenient, because you view it as a part of yourself that is broken. It's just a part of you. It's not broken and it doesn't need to be repaired. It needs to be nurtured and cared for. And that does mean allowing yourself to have fun. And that does mean allowing yourself to occasionally goof off. And that does mean even if you wake up on a day with a million different tasks to do and you don't feel well, then you need to reschedule them. And that is something that apparently you really struggle with, because you want your checklist done, because it's the only way that you feel like the wolf is no longer at your door. And you don't understand it's the actual opposite answer. The thing that makes you feel like the wolf is at your door is that you attach your safety, your happiness, your peace, and your power to doing what you're supposed to do so you can get the end result that you want. And it does not work that way. You will get done what you're meant to. You will get done what you need to. You will be able to have what you want when you treat yourself as being more valuable in your own life than your task list. If you feel unwell, rest. If you feel depleted, rest. If you're miserable and bored, stop and find the thing that intrigues you about life again. For me, it's often cooking, which is funny because I really struggle with my relationship to food. But when I go into, because it's a form of magic, is that like I can cook and I kind of just tweak recipes all over the place. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not, but it's always an experiment in creation. And it gets me more in touch with my own magic. The only thing that you're being told here is that you run yourself at an energetic deficit, because like your trust still suffers kind of a lot and you are in denial about triggers. And I think you keep thinking, I'll be well. I'm doing this so I can be well. I'll be cured. I'll put that behind me and I'll get to be normal. And you need to understand something. Don't try to be normal. First of all, normal kind of doesn't exist. Everybody has a different state of being. You want to live in your optimal energy. And it may look very different for you than it does for other people. And your needs will be taken care of. If you feel like they're not being, it may be because you really need to live in a period of no matter how hard I try, nothing will happen, so that you would stop exhausting yourself. Because when things come to you easily, you're not good about a work-life balance. You let yourself become overscheduled and take on too much because you think that's what it takes to be successful. And you're measuring success from the wrong vantage point. You are measuring success from the wrong vantage point. You're looking at it solely as a bank balance, and you need to be looking towards, am I happy? Am I interested in things? Am I engaged in my own life? Do I look forward to the future, or do I fear it? If you're still fearing the future, you're still trying to heal. Indecision, this is a crossroads energy. The temple path, which is healing. Fourth chakra, Archangel Raphael. Oh, where's this going to come with? Deceit and envy. That's codependency. Okay. And then anxiety. Oh, guys. Okay, so, all right. You need to heal your heart chakra. If you had your heart badly broken, you can have a bad association with love. Just work on your heart chakra more than you like to. And yes, it might make you cry sometimes. And yes, it might make you feel lonely if you're not with somebody. It is better to wait for the right person. You've got a little bit of healing work to do on that to resolve that energy around this is the thing I need people to understand. Codependency is a form of addiction because it's compulsive. Workaholism is also a form of addiction, guys. You have to not push yourself beyond your limits. And apparently that's something that you think is part of success. And success is not worth having if it's going to break you. So keep that part in mind. Take better care of yourself than you do sometimes, including goofing off, including not getting everything done sometimes. If that, and what happens, here's what I think you think you're going to end up homeless and like starving if you don't do everything you're supposed to all the time. And it's almost like you don't know how to goof off. Like you just are like, you'll sit around, you'll stare at walls, and you're just like, is this what goofing off is? No, it's having fun. If you don't know what fun is, you're still healing. If you don't know what fun is, you're still healing. And if you want things to go more quickly, work on your healing. Work on your healing. The future is brighter than you think it is. This is a bright future. These two things, it's hard, but your choices around how you treat yourself will be determining the depth of your triggers. I had to accept this about myself, and the easiest thing sometimes is for me to talk about me so that other people don't feel examined or accused or like called out in a weird way. I had to accept that I will always have a tendency, because I was badly abused as a child, and I don't have the same emotional response system that other people do, and I can't. And it's what makes certain things about me great and certain things about me difficult to deal with, even from my own standpoint. And learning to accept that it's like, okay, that doesn't get to be fixed, it gets to be managed. That it's a bit of a permanent condition, that it's a bit of a permanent injury, that I will have to pay attention to it, and that if I am overscheduling myself, I am so much more likely to be triggered because I'm stressing myself out. And that to give myself time and breathing room. And it's a difficult one for me because I'm a go kind of gal. Learning to exist in a peaceful state when you're doing, but also when you're not doing. And learning to exist in a state that honors your emotional needs is what true success is about. Success is not just money. It's not numbers. It's not likes. It's not views. It's not downloads. Success is living a happy life. Please try to take that perspective, because you are struggling with it. You're like, I'll be happy when I have enough money. No, you'll just have enough money and you'll be overworking yourself. So that was a reminder that workaholism is a form of addiction as well. Okay. I have kinship, community, your group, with Archangel Phanuel, hope, optimism, and new beginnings. Higher self and sacred intuition, your eternal spirit. If you have lost your hope, understand that it is simply because maybe you kept trying to place it only in one area of your life. Like if you started to close down to romantic connection because you're like, I'm healing from toxic connection, and you are solely placing it in a business capacity, understand that would have slowed things down, because that's an unbalanced state as well, and it will draw all of your power to one area and leave your emotional world completely untended. And if you don't connect well with others, if you don't, as people who are, healers are often very, very introverted because they give energy to other people, and so they find them draining. If you don't connect easily with other people, that's okay. Just know how to connect with yourself. Meaning, know how to take care of yourself. Know how to treat yourself like you're somebody you dearly love, so that you can replenish yourself and recharge. And sometimes it will mean spending money on yourself. If you responsible yourself to death and try to be responsible instead of joyful, then you may have a long life with all physical needs being met, but your emotional world will be it'll be struggling. And it's just something to try and remember, is that you will live best in a state of balance. Phoenix, be prepared to be renewed after a period of crisis. Chariot, that's the same card. Charge ahead with confidence, stay strong and focused, and then patience. Slow down, change your attitude, and clear your mind. Listen, there's so much on this particular pile about trying to figure out what to do with triggers. And like, you want to push past something because it's inconvenient. You want to push past fatigue. You want to push past doubt. Like it's almost like you resent needing to take care of you. Please love you, because that is the key to happiness. Love and take care of yourself, and don't look to other people for your validation. Time of guilt and shame ends now. Forgive yourself and begin to love yourself just as you are. It's hard because self-love may not be something, oh, hello, the time is right. Seize the day and make progress on your soul path. So what's the message here that they're really trying to, I'm getting one that just a new strategy is required, that left across the room. A new strategy is required. So things are changing around you, and this is a message that you just, patience is the thing that you need to learn in all areas of your life. That's the key to taking out your triggers. That's the key to taking out your triggers, is that you allow yourself to slow down. You're wondering why you blew up recently. And it's because you were pushing yourself really hard to get something done. And despite something that had gone wrong. And you got triggered, and you were very, very, very disappointed in yourself. Because there was a part of you that thought, I thought I was going to get better. I'm not better. I'm never going to be better. You are better. You do not heed your own warning signs. You do not respect your own limits sometimes. It's the only message that you're getting here, is that more's coming to you. Success is actually going to be yours. Please remember that your happiness is success. And you might really have come to the point where you're like, maybe I'm just one of those people who doesn't get to be happy. I'm just here for other people. It is wonderful to live a life of service. But if you are not joyful in your life's purpose, you've not truly connected to your soul's purpose yet. You are meant to have as well, not just give. Selflessness leads to, it's beautiful to surrender ego. It is beautiful to see other people as having validity and worth, and all of us being in it together. But that means you count just as much, not that you don't count at all, because others matter more. You need to balance more frequently. And like, here's the thing, you just may be one of those people who it's a bit of a chore. It's a bit of a chore, like vacuuming. You gotta vacuum sometimes. Balance at least once a week. Even if you're falling asleep to something that helps you balance, balance. Seduction, passion, and romance await. I kind of got that feeling. The spider, be meticulous and patient. And then the king, authority and diplomacy. And then the next one was actually, I'm going to take it anyway, because the Chimera, imagination, clouds your judgments. That's a trigger card. You do not understand that aspect of you being triggered. Is if you're pushing yourself, you're far more likely to get triggered, because anything that gets in your way has exaggerated importance. It's the piece that you're missing from your puzzle, is what is triggering you when you're trying to get things done, is that you're pushing yourself to get things done. And an impediment might not be the thing that, oh, it's a test, I have to get past this to get done what I want. It might be telling you, you're not doing the right thing right now. Take a different approach. You need a different solution. File number 2, that was your interesting angel message about the key that you're missing to repairing your ability to care for yourself during a triggered episode. I attract almost exclusively people with CPTSD and PTSD because like energy attracts like energy. And managing triggers is something that will become effortless, but you have to love yourself versus resent that part of you as being weak. It's not weak. Somebody damaged you, and it looks like it was on purpose. Be kind to that part of you. Be kind to that part of you. Try to view it as a separate person if it would help. But that part of you is somebody who was never comforted when they were frightened. Comfort yourself and allow yourself to slow down. Please allow yourself to take things as they come versus forcing yourself through everything, okay? That was your message, pile number 2. If you want to book me for a private reading, there's a link to my website in the description box down below. Hey, please don't forget to check out Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica. I do episodes on how to help people heal with all of this, and I think I could help you with a lot of this as well. Take care. Be well. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 3, this is your reading. Putting number 3 over there so people can easily fast forward to it, but there will be timestamps in the description box down below. Hooray, you guys get more light than everybody else did. My power was out and I was filming all of this by candlelight. This is the Connolly Tarot. It's going to be bringing you your infinity spread. This is angel messages and it's also ancestor messages. So angels and ancestors. And we'll see what happens here, but pile number 1 and 2 were both warned about particular attachments. So we'll see what's going on here. Everyone's going to get some energy cards and some energy and spirit cards, and then other oracle decks will get into the fray as the reading reveals the need for it. All right, guys, top of this, I have to do my housekeeping, so please don't forget to subscribe. It helps my channel. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you like the reading. And don't forget that my podcast, Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica, has a lot of healing advice on it. And one last thing, if you want to book me for a reading, there is a link to my website in the description box down below. It's the only way to book me, and my website is at therisingmoon.com. Let's get going here. What's the angel message for pile number 3? I have somebody flipped. We're going to see where it lands in all of this. All right, I'm going to write this and put it in the upright. Just feels like the right thing to do. Somebody just flipped again. All right, we're going to get you too. No one's going in the upright as well. Why do we do that sometimes? Sometimes it feels like cards are in the wrong orientation. When they don't leap, but they flip. All right, let's get going. Knight of Pentacles in the upright with the Page of Pentacles in the upright. Remember, the Knight of Pentacles is this like routine energy, this slow moving energy where you're making progress on a 3D path, but like you wish things were going more quickly. Page of Pentacles in the upright is learning lessons. It's the start of new things in the material world. It can be a spell card. That comes out with the Six of Cups in reverse, which can be a difficult relationship from the past or to the past. It can be like a past life relationship that did damage to you. So a relationship in your past that damaged you. It can also be the bad form of nostalgia, where like you pine for something that is gone because you don't think anything as good is coming up in the future. Your message, pile number 3, is different than the first 2 piles, which is like you're making all kinds of progress, but you still have some, inner child healing to do, because this is one of the cards for inner child healing. With the Judgment card in the upright, which is the card for the Archangel Gabriel, is also the card of life's purpose and things being made clear and clarity. I'm not minding anything about that. This is so hard because when people are dealing with old wounds, when they're doing their inner child healing, it can seem endless. Like, it's like, oh my God, am I just so broken? Can we start again? Because if I'm this broken, it's taking this long to heal, then maybe I'm going to be 90,000 years old before it's all done. Stop measuring your journey by the fact that there's still something more to heal, and instead concentrate on, well, where am I better? because this is like, you made a lot of progress here, but I'm not sure that you often view it that way. With the Knight of Cups in reverse, which is about, oh, look at that. So infinity spreads are very interesting because this is one reading, all the cards interrelate. When we get one in the upright and one in reverse like that, it's something that's called a download code, which is about something that is expanding in your life. And the Knights are all about carrying things forward in progress. Your ability to love yourself and treat yourself kindly and speak to yourself kindly and see your own value has improved. It needs a little bit more work. Ace of Swords in the upright. And why? I think because you have resentment towards yourself. Like you have resentment for the why haven't I gotten this done yet? Like it's not a weakness, it's an injury. And I always need people to understand that part is that if you have a lot of damage that comes from your formative experience, you did not do that to yourself. Even if it's like deep to the actual core and it screwed up who you fundamentally are as a person, that has nothing to do with your intrinsic worth as a human being. And you can find all the pieces of yourself, but please don't dislike that part of you. It's just a hurt kid. The part of you that needs to be loved and nurtured and cared for is just this neglected, sad child. And if it helps to view that part of you as a separate person, in fact, try to work with visualization on that. When you are trying to do your inner child work, when you're finding yourself triggered or you're finding yourself unable to cope with your emotions or unable to treat yourself appropriately, one of the keys in gaining perspective is to look at yourself with the same level of compassion you would a perfect stranger. And if you came across a child who was crying and frightened and scared, it's a rare person who would be angry with them. And if you are angry with them, then work on your sacral chakra because you have some anger issues. But for the most part, you would try to take care of a child who is obviously in distress. Treat yourself the same way. Be kind and loving to you. What caused the damage in the first place was somebody wasn't. Learn to do it and everything will start to flow very effortlessly. And you'll never look for that love from another person in the same way, which is like the seed of toxic relationships. When we don't know how to love ourselves, we look to another person. And frequently we're looking for approval in their eyes, particularly if we came from situations that told us we weren't good enough growing up. And another person having that much power over your view of self is almost always going to turn to a toxic direction. Okay, I've got the King of Pentacles in the upright. Ooh. And then I have the Strength card in the upright. What was it about? Because it looks like the relationship from the past or to the past may actually be one from your adult realm. That you may struggle with compassion towards people who hurt you in the past, who are still here in the 3D. Have compassion for yourself and just kind of hand them over to the divine. That's always my advice. Because until you're healed, it can take just an absolutely Herculean amount of effort to try and see the person who damaged you with compassion and kindness. And it's okay to set that down and say, I can't do that. Please take that over for me. Please make sure they don't hurt anybody else, but I have to keep going forward. But the problem becomes that it's surrendering a big part of your life if it was a relationship. Here's the thing, the difficult energy around that is something that you're overcoming and releasing. But please do attachment removals. Please do a lot of cord cutters on a regular basis. Even if you feel like, no, I've resolved that. I feel pretty good about it. I see where it came from. I see the damage that was done to me when I was a child that caused me to choose this person who was not emotionally suited to take care of themselves, let alone make me feel like I was lovable. If you've done all this work, please allow yourself to go forward in an energy that releases that energy. And it may do it as a maintenance program, you get your oil changed on your car. Lean in on doing attachment removals every 3 months or so. Even if like you feel like you've completely resolved it, when your past is tied that closely to somebody, they're in your thoughts because they're part of what formed you. And you just may have to deal with it on a regular basis. Here are 2 clarifiers. Is there anything else in this from our angels? Clarity around what helps you in your process around self-love. Speaking affirmations, writing them down. Please remember what I just told you about, like, if you came across a child that was frightened and, like, you know, upset and nobody was comforting them and maybe they didn't have enough to eat and a couple of other things that can happen in terrible childhoods. It really, most people, particularly people in my collective, would try to help that little kid. And that's you. Don't be impatient with that part of you. You're not sick and broken. Nobody helped you when you were in that condition, and so the wound carried forward. And the way out of the prison that can be trauma is to treat yourself with the appropriate love and care. Okay, that's your angel answers there. We have the 6 of Wands in the upright with the 4 of Pentacles in the upright. I feel good about that. 6 of Wands in the upright is making progress. It is the card of like being a social media star. It's the card of graduation. It's the card of triumphing over adversity. The 4 of Pentacles in the upright, this is a really positive one. Most of them, like the person is, this one, they're standing on firm ground and holding things up in a state of balance. This is a secure energy. Now, it can be a miser's energy, and every other pile was warned about, like, hey, look at your family history to see if you have that greed attachment. And that's not a personal judgment of you. Remember, it's an energy that's attached to your familial line. And just doing frequent attachment removals. Altona 777 is the channel that I recommend most frequently. And they all sound awful, but there's a reason. It's a jarring sound that disrupts your thought pattern and allows something to be detached. And then you do cord cuttings, and then you do balancing. Patience. With contract. All right. What else are we getting here, guys? So patience, 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 patience. Patience is peace, patience is power. I literally did an entire podcast on how it's the key to manifestation and the key to magic, and it really is. Because it's not waiting. People think, like, they've got the wrong idea about what patience is. Patience doesn't mean, like, hold on, it'll be a while. It means that patience, I'm cool with the way things are. Whatever's happening today is what's meant to happen today. What's meant to happen tomorrow will meant to happen tomorrow. I put an effort in, but I'm not killing myself here because nothing is worth damaging myself to achieve. And I really feel like that's the lesson that you had trouble learning. And I will tell you, honestly, because I'll use myself as an example, nobody else gets in trouble that way. I came from a long line of people who, they did stupid things in terms of overwork when they didn't have to. My family has a long history in a genetic capacity of coming from deprivation. And so they got very, very, this miser's energy, but this is kind of letting it go. It's almost like you're overcoming that energy because you're leaning in on understanding it. Okay, broken heart, one more time, yin yang. Adjacent possibilities, goddess of the moon. I normally wouldn't have gone that deep on it, but I will tell you very honestly that the broken heart took me off guard. This message has not come through in a long time, but please understand that there is resolution on something that was very unfair to you, and it will be brought back into a state of balance. I don't think you're going to see where it's coming from. Just accept that it's like, maybe it will come to me over the course of years. Maybe it will come to me in a sudden flash. But like, it's almost as if you resigned yourself to a very, very unfair situation of being, well, sometimes people just don't get justice. Your justice is coming to you in a life that will actually bring you a great deal of peace and joy. And that's the justice. And it will come to you in all manner of ways. This difficult masculine energy, and remember, like, you know, tarot, gender, it has a tendency to be meaningless in tarot, except when it's representing a figure, it appears to be actually representing a figure here. You overcome in all things, and that person never will. They never will. Is it the part that you need to hear? that they will always be a little bit lost because they drove you away. And because that's true. They will always be lost. And if you need to know that they're aware of that, my sense is that they're very much aware of that. But they also know there's no way back. And then the judgment is the judgment energy around that. I have, and I never read oracle cards in reverse, self-acceptance, compassion, forgiveness, Archangel Zadkiel. Self-acceptance and compassion. Here's the sense that I get. Damn, do you get mad at yourself for still having vulnerabilities? That's the thing that caused the damage in the first place from your caretakers. Is people who got irritated with you for having basic human needs because you likely came from a set of circumstances in which you came into this world either as an accident or a surprise, or the person who is your caretaker discovered that they weren't a particularly caretaking person and that they were not well themselves, and so they resented anything around them needing something. That's just a sense that I have. Please don't continue to treat that part of yourself with that base level irritation for having an emotional need. Please reframe how you're looking at yourself. Please reframe how you're looking at yourself. You're not being punished, by the way. You're not being punished. I'm not laughing because it's funny. First of all, it's a trauma response. I will sometimes kind of chuckle because of the ironic quality of people who have they keep blaming themselves for something they didn't do to themselves and not understanding that it's oh, stop that part and it'll be better. The when will I ever be better? When will I ever be better? When you're not borderline contemptuous of the fact you're not weak. You're not weak. You weren't properly taken care of, and that's why you get so many messages about self-care, because that's the way out of this, okay? And then I have here the second group that here's, because I can't link to the same video twice in a recording, please check out the 7 Energies podcast that I did. I'll link to the podcast playlist as on this particular one, because it'll tell you what each chakra point needs to heal. And then, attachment, longing, and desperation. All right. Longing and desperation. I don't think you're longing for a partner. You may be. If you are, please remember, be your own person first. Be your own person first, and every relationship you have will be healthier because of it. If you dislike aspects of yourself because you think that they're weak, you're going to have a really hard time embracing and loving yourself as being a very it's product of your own environment. Be super kind to that part of yourself. Please. Here's the thing. Literally everybody in my collective, because they just would never, ever, ever think to hurt or belittle or disdain an actual little kid out of an abusive environment. And yet so many people in this collective do that to that part of themselves because they're I should have fixed this by now. The maiden, a new relationship blossoms with winds of change, and then the wyvern, your secrets are safe. Is this a new relationship? Hey, listen, so many people in my collective had to heal from codependency. It's possible. It's not really reflected on this. It's not. But I'm not surprised about that. I genuinely ask my guides to... Okay, I finally had to stop in order to cough. I genuinely ask my guides to be very careful with the information that they give out on that, because it's codependency has a compulsivity to it, and it has an attachment with it, meaning it almost kidnaps your brain. And so that's why the people in my collective, I'm hey, take it easy on love readings. It doesn't do anything good for you. It reattracts something that you've done a lot of, because here's what happens to vulnerable young people when their emotional needs aren't being met. It creates this space where an attachment that is very need-based can kind of latch onto them. And even though I'm the world's most 3D person for a spiritual worker, because the practical world matters, the 3D world matters, there's a lot in psychology that can help us learn methods and means to be well. There is a spiritual component. There are entities, there are demons, there are generational curses. And when generational trauma is carried forward, people don't know any better, so they don't do any better, and they just do the same things over and over, causing the same damage in generation after generation. There's frequently an entity that gets attached to that, and it fuels codependency. I know there's a giant codependency attachment on my family, and like, I don't touch love cards for myself. I just don't. Is it an area I'm completely closed down to? It's certainly not an area I'm focusing on. If it's meant to be, it will happen in my life, and it isn't. That's okay. I have an awesome life. And that's really a healthy place to be with it. It's like, if it's meant to be, the right person will find me. But I'm not going to pin my happiness to another person ever again. And that's my advice to everybody who's struggling with that. Know that you are the person who will make you happiest, because you understand yourself at a level that nobody else really ever can. And that when you understand yourself and you take care of yourself and you don't resent this part of you, then you don't look to another to fulfill your emotional needs. And when you are having relationships for the strength of the relationship rather than trying to meet an unmet emotional need within, they're so much healthier. We have release your inner rebel, be yourself, and create your own universe. And I have one more for you. To conform is to die and say, whoa, that's 2 cards of, oh, be brave and be yourself. Hey, listen, if you're not like everybody else, it's okay. Conformity is... Why do we prize that so much in this particular world? Because it makes us more easy to manage. That's why it's like approved of in society, which society is a power structure. It can maintain, but like, it's, when it gets too big, it starts breaking down. Corrupt influences cause, all kinds of problems. Conformity within our society is not about achieving happiness, but, ease of management for power structures. Be who you are and love who you are, because who you are is a unique individual. Even though things go forward in energetic patterns, and I can talk about people with PTSD and CPTSD as having a lot of the same occurrences, your viewpoint is yours and yours alone. You have a witness in consciousness that is yours and yours alone. It is here to do a very particular thing. And you're going to be doing more of that. There's like progress. One of the things with the Leo card, which is the strength card, is that it always has the infinity sign, which is about things moving swiftly and moving forward quickly. The gate. A barrier keeps you from your goal. Now that frequently is a card for security for me. The wizard. Use your skill to aid others. And then the griffin. Honor and good luck. The serpent. A slide subtle approach is needed. This is an attachment energy. Literally every pile got some advice around, hey, please remember, do your attachment removals on the regs. Even if you've resolved something, it's very important to keep working on it so that you can be free and clear going forward. The first group I'm going to get the Infinity Oracle on because it feels like the right thing. Your message appears to really be, hey, listen, you're wondering, it's like, wow, God, is it ever, I'm this, please just make it move, make things happen. Examine how you are reacting to yourself when you still all show vulnerabilities. Because if you are still struggling with some of the aspects of trauma, please listen to me. You did not do this to yourself. It is not weakness, it's injury. And please listen on the part of, if you don't like that part of yourself, it is shaming and judging something that was done to you. And that the only way to really repair it, the only way to really get past it, is to treat it with the love and care that it never received, which is patience, which is kindness, which is soothing, which is all of the caretaking that people who have a tendency towards codependency try to give to another person. If you are a natural caretaker, start caretaking yourself and your life will transform. Twin flame. Son of a gun. Soulmate. Good luck. Runner. Signs from nature. Hi. So this is likely to come out on the same day that I'm releasing the Twin Flame podcast. So I will likely attach to that. Twin flames increasingly appear to be a shadow side connection, helping you to heal your shadow side, which is the part of your personality that was formed in trauma. If you are still dealing with a twin flame connection, please listen to me, please. It is trying to show you what to heal inside of yourself in the love that you will extend to yourself, that you keep trying to give to another. That's what twin flames are about. They're a mirror image. And in a mirror image, everything is reversed. So they're literally your energetic opposite. And everything that you're trying to get from them is actually what you need to give to you. And I'm sorry if I just sounded so frustrated. I just hadn't even seen a twin flame card in so long. I'm assuming that's what this energy is. Resolve and release non-reciprocal relationships, please. It is not, I'm never trying to hurt anybody. And I'm so aware that if you have your heart set on somebody as a twin flame, it can be the most painful thing in the world to hear, is that person actually really worthy of you? Because every twin flame connection that I've seen, the person who's getting the reading is not being treated right. They're not being treated right. They're not being treated as valuable. They're not being treated as if their love is a gift. Sometimes it's because they have a lot to heal, but sometimes it's because they have chosen somebody. They've been attracted to somebody in that magnetic attraction thing. All right. They want me to get a romance angel. They have chosen somebody in that magnetic attraction that is actually their opposite energy. And it's telling you what you need to heal within yourself. It's telling you what you need to heal within yourself. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3. It is possible for some people that there is a resolution on a twin flame connection that will bring you greater luck. It's going to be very individual. General readings, by the way, cannot really tell you your personal relationship outcomes in the way people want them to. You need to get personal readings to get your personal answers. Lion, it's there as well. Harness the loyal and protective aura of the lion and charge ahead magnificently. Beware. Be careful who you trust at this time. Moon, pay attention to your intuition at this time and move ahead confidently. I'm going to get a romance angel. You're being warned. It is entirely possible that a twin flame is coming back. And I'm just, please, 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 please examine whether or not that person actually has given you the love that you so truly deserve. Getting to know each other, love yourself first is what came out. So love yourself. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. Don't accept less than you deserve. Now, this isn't going to be universal for everybody. I will go for one more love card, even though I'm not really super jazzed about any of this. Why? Because here's the thing. It can trigger forms of trauma and compulsive activities. Every twin flame connection that I have seen is somebody really, really wanting somebody to love them back because they're not loving themselves enough and going like, oh, like you aren't going to treat me like I'm valuable, goodbye to you. Because I love me too much to accept crap from anybody in the name of love or anything else. All right, so here we go. Let's get a messages of love, which again, like I don't even do love readings any longer because it's all explained in the twin flame connection. I do them in personal capacities. It's the general readings because they rarely contain the real answers. Trust. It is safe for you to trust the situation. Acceptance. Everything happens for a reason. Time apart. Some distance will help keep clarity in the marriage. This relationship is moving towards a sacred union. Are all twin flames always going to be about like a toxic resolution? No, they're not. They're not. It's just that unless that person has fully healed as well, it just perpetuates a cycle in which you give more than you are given. And you try to earn that person's love through more and more effort and energy and focus and devotion. And the thing that kind of led me away from valuing the idea of a twin flame connection was seeing how many people were sitting on a shelf waiting for somebody to recognize their value. And it's like, recognize your own value, please. Please recognize your own value and don't sit on a shelf and wait for somebody who's treating you as if you're something other than a gift to them when you're trying to give them all your love. Give yourself your love, and you will not accept treatment like that any longer. And will this be unpopular? Oh, yes, probably, but like, them's the breaks. That was your reading, pile number 3. I did not anticipate that at all. I did not anticipate that at all. Please listen to that Twin Flame podcast that Jacob and I did. It might help you with something. That's all I'm going to say on that. You take care. Be well.